This is Unit 2.9, question 15 of the test prep. F of x is equal to x squared minus 1 over x minus 2. What is f prime of 4? Alright, well first let's take the derivative of f of x. We use the quotient rule, so we get x minus 2. We're going to keep the x minus 2 the same. And we're going to take the derivative of the top, which is 2x, using the power rule. Then we're going to subtract. We're going to now keep the top the same and take the derivative of the bottom. The derivative of the bottom is just 1, so all we're subtracting is the top function, x squared minus 1. And then we're going to divide it by the bottom function squared. That's the quotient rule. Alright, so now it's now we can either manipulate this or we can just plug in our value of 4. So I'm going to go ahead and manipulate this just for like future-proof this video. So I'm going to distribute everything. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. Negative times x squared, I'm going to distribute this negative, so I get negative x squared plus 1 over x minus 2 squared. So this is equal to 2x squared minus x squared is just x squared minus 4x plus 1 over x minus 2 squared. Alright, now I'm going to just go ahead and plug in 4. 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 over 4 minus 2 is 2, squared is 4. So alright, we get a final answer of 1/4 as our final. This is Unit 2.9, question 16 from the test prep. Let f and g be differentiable functions with the following properties. 1. F of x is less than 0 for all values of x. 2. G of 5 equals 2. We know that h of x is equal to f of x over g of x, and h prime of x is equal to f prime of x over g of x. What is g of x? Okay, now there is a lot to take in here, but I see that h of x prime of x is equal to f prime of x over g of x, and I also know h of x is equal to f of over g of x. So I'm just going to derive this to get what h prime of is in terms of here. So if we derive h of x, we get h prime of x equals, we're going to use the quotient rule here, so we get g of x times f prime of x minus, now I'm going to keep the top the same, so f of x times g prime of x. Alright, and this is all over g of x squared. Okay, now this is h prime of x, and this is also h prime of x. So I'm just going to go ahead and set them equal to each other. Equals f prime of x over g of x. Okay, now what do I do? I'm going to go ahead and plug in the 5 now, and because I know g of 5 is equal to 2. So I'm going to plug a 5 into all the x's. So I get g of 2 times f prime of 2. I know what g of 2 is. I'm going to plug a 5 into all the x's. So I know what g of 5 is. It's 2 times f prime of 5 minus f of 5 times g prime of 5 over, I know g of 5 is 2, so 2 squared is 4, and that's still equal to f of x, or f of 5 over g of 5, which is 2. Okay, I have a 2 on the numerator and a 2 on the denominator. What can I do here? Well, there's a lot of stuff I can do here, but I'm going to go ahead and split this fraction into 2 fractions and set them both equal. So I get 2 times f prime of 5 over 4, and that simplifies to f prime of 5 over 2, so I'm just going to simplify it right now. F prime of 5 over 2, and then I'm going to subtract this part of the fraction, which is f of 5 times g prime of 5 over 4, and that's equal to f prime of 5 over 2. Alright, so now what? I'm going to go up here, but whenever I have an equation like this, I'm just going to go ahead and solve for something. So I see an f prime of 5 over 2 and an f prime of 5 over 2. I'm just going to subtract f prime of 5 over 2 on both sides, because I need to solve for something with g in it, because we're trying to find what g of x is. So I see a g prime of 5, I'm going to solve for that g prime of 5. So If I subtract that from both sides, I get negative f prime, or f of 5, times g prime of 5 over 4, and that's equal to 0. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply everything by 4 and divide by negative 1, so I get f of 5 times g prime of 5 equals 0. So now the zero product property states that either, for this to be true, either f of 5 needs to be equal to 0, which obviously it can't because f of x is less than 0 for all values of x. So this is an extraneous case. So the other option is g prime of 5 is equal to 0. And if g prime of 5, if the derivative is equal to 0, that means g of x is a constant. Remember, it's just the constant like derivative rule, just the other way around. So if we have g of a prime of a derivative function equaling 0, that means the original function is just a constant. And we know that g of 5 equals 2. That means g of x must just equal 2. If that doesn't make sense, don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'll help. But that's our final answer. This is Unit 2.9, question 17 from the test prep. The function f is defined by f of x equals x over x plus 4, where what points x, y on the graph f have the property that the line tangent to f at x, y have a slope of 1/9. So this question is asking something pretty straightforward. We're just going to be finding the derivative of f of x and then setting it equal to 1/9. So the hardest part of this is just the algebra. So let's take the derivative of f of x first. So f prime of x is equal to, we're going to keep the denominator the same, so x plus 4 times the derivative of the numerator, which is x, which is 1, so that's fine. And then I'm going to subtract. Now I'm going to keep the numerator the same and multiply by the denominator, which is the derivative of the denominator, which is also 1, over the denominator squared, so x plus 4 squared. And that is equal to 4 over x plus 4 squared. And now I'm going to set 4 over x plus 4 squared. I'm going to set this equal to 1 over 9. And I'm going to cross multiply. So 9 times 4 is 36. And so we get, and 1 times this is itself. So x plus 4 squared equals 36. Alright? So now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I get x plus 4 equals plus or minus 6. And then I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So x equals 4 plus or minus 6. 4 plus 6, so x1 is equal to 4 plus 6, which is 10. And then x2 is equal to 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. Right? Yeah, this is supposed to be negative 4, so this should be negative 10. So this should be 2. So we have x1 as negative 10, x2 as 2. Alright, so now in the answer choice, actually, there's only one solution with x equals negative 10 and the second x equals 2, and that's answer choice C. So you get C as our final answer. But if there was multiple answer choices, you would just plug these two values back into our f of x and solve for y. Pretty easy algebra there. This is Unit 2.9, question 18 from the test prep. We're back on paint because I don't want to be drawing this graph. The graph of the by the way, let me know in the comments which way you like better, whether you like the paint or the whiteboard way better. Anyways, the graph of function f is shown to the right. Let's g of x equal this. What is the value of g prime of 4? Alright, so first, as always, we're going to take the derivative of g of x. So g prime of x is going to be equal to we're going to keep the denominator the same, so f of x. And I'm going to multiply this by the derivative of the numerator, which is 2x. And I'm going to subtract. Now I'm going to keep the numerator the same, so x squared minus 1 times f prime of x. And then I'm going to divide this by f of x squared. F of x squared. Alright, so now to find g prime of 4, I'm just going to plug in 4 into all the x values. So I get 2 times 4, which is 8. And f of 4 is right here, which is 2. So 8 times 2 minus 4 squared is 16 minus 1 is 15. So minus 15 times the derivative of f of 4. So I need to find the slope of the line right here. So let's go ahead and find this. I'm going to use this point right here. So 4 comma 2. And I'm going to use this point right here, which is 2 comma 1. I'm going to find the slope by doing y2 minus y1. So 2 minus 1 over 4 minus 2. And that is equal to 2 over 2, which is equal, or no, 1 over 2. 1 over 2 as our answer. So f prime, so that is f prime of x is equal to 1/2. Remember, when we have a linear line, the derivative is just the slope of it. So we have 15 times 1/2, and that's all over f of 4, remember, is 2, so 2 squared is 4. Alright, I'm just going to see, they didn't specify an answer that you needed to simplify to, so I'm just going to simplify all the way. So we have 16 minus 15 over 2 all over 4, and that is 16 is the same thing as 32 over 2, so we have 32 over 2 minus 15 over 2, again all over 4. Then we have, so that's 17 over 2 all over 4, which is equal to 17 over 8 as our final answer. Again, I don't have the answer key with me, so I don't know how much they'll simplify, but this is the most simplified version unless you go into decimals. Alright, that's all for 2.9. We're going to finally move on to the last unit, 2.10, and then we'll be done with unit 2. You guys are going to do so great on your tests.